How are y'all dickheads doing? It is I, once again, Dick Record. We're right now about to open up these two Star Wars Premiere Limited Edition starter decks. It's a trip down memory lane for me. This is also occurring on my 1 year streamer affiliate anniversary. I have such wonderful memories of this game as a child. I really liked it. I kind of fell in love with it even more than like Magic the Gathering. As a child, I think I opened like one or two of these premier starter limited edition starter decks. They were just hard to find. I'm not opening this for money, right? Like there's only a few cards that are like even worth the cost of these starter decks, right? And I was thinking about it, like why was it so hard to find the limited edition ones as opposed to like the white border ones? And I think that realistically what happened when I was a child is that people thought that this was going to be like an investable collectible. And I think that people actually hoarded them, which is wild to think about, solely for the fact that they were planning on like, hoping to get rich one day. Let's do it, right? So yeah. Let's see, there's the pull tab. Oh my god, there it goes. There it goes. We've ruined it. We've ruined it. I actually have four. I have two more. I just want to open these two just to take down this trip down memory lane, but I want to have like these other ones for later on, right? I'm gonna open this very slowly, carefully, so that I can't see the rares. So when you open the pack, right, and it's always sealed in this way. These are the rares and uncommons, and everything else behind the rule book here is common. Right, cut. Oh my god. Towards the rulebook. So these cards were printed in 1995. I think that's the copyright date on this. Look at that. Copyright 1995 Lucasfilm. So these are the commons. And then we got the rulebook. And then these are the uncommons. And the rares. Right? So we'll put this here. You know what we gotta do actually, before I do anything? Oh my god. All that history. Dark side and light side commons. Again, oh god, these are printed by Carta Mundi in Belgium. This cardstock, the way that this is printed, the ink and everything, they don't do it like this anymore, man. I don't even know if Carta Mundi still prints for like the majority of the card games out there. Zoop. Oh, okay. Hold on. That's not supposed to be there. All right, so that's not supposed to be there. Han Seekers are rare. Uh these were so if you remember in the Star Wars movie when Luke Skywalker and when Obi-Wan was trying to train Luke in the ways of the Jedi, he was like teaching him to deflect laser blasts with this thing called the remote. And in the expanded universe, it doesn't really come up in the actual movies. They have these things called Seekers, which are just like modified remotes. And this is a Han Seeker. It's specifically meant to seek out Han. It never shows up in the movie. I don't even know. This is more like a card game thing that was made up. But this is one of the rares, and it shouldn't have been there. So that's confusing. And also, this is supposed to be the light side pile. That's real confusing, but that's one of the rares, and that shouldn't be there. Because we took everything behind the rulebook. So... Oh. There's the light side rare. There's the dark side rare. Well, we know that that's there, so let's just put that there. All right, lift tube edge. This is a chaffed piece of equipment. I don't even know if this is like I don't know anybody that actually used the lift tubes ever. R2X2. I remember this guy was just like, "Hey, this looks exactly like what's his name, R2." And I was like, "That's kind of cool, actually. It looks like our boy. It looks like our boy." Here's another vehicle. This time an exterior use vehicle. They had this in like their garage in Tatooine, So I didn't really know. When I was a kid, I didn't know how interrupts worked at all. We used to love this type of effects because it would make a pilot better, right? But these are actually kind of useless cards. A few maneuvers. Okay. Yeah, I guess this is a good way to get out of getting hit. Blaster. Oh, man. So a lot of these cards are actually based... The art for these cards is taken from, like, directly from, like, scenes in the movie, right? Like, this is an actual scene in the movie where Millennium Falcon's pulling up during that time where they're being chased by, TIE fighters after they escape the Death Star, I believe. This is also taken from a scene in the movie, but they added the blaster later on as like a bit of Photoshop job, and there's a few items that are just like that, right? Rebel Guard. This is when we had like no cards. This is actually a really good card, but it's pretty shitty. Proton torpedoes. I mean, these went right into the Death Star's anus. Death Star docking bay. This is the light side version too, right? Yeah. So usually, yeah, there were like a bunch of different kinds of cards. This is a site card, and you could battle at sites. You know, device, this power things. Again, another bad card. There's a lot of bad cards here. Rebel Pilot was the bad card because like you would just play any named character that also had the ability to pilot, and they did a much better job than these Rebel Pilots did. We did not even touch like things like interrupts or effects for like the longest time. Yavin 4 Docking Bay. Some of these cards, it was wild that they gave the dark side any force, right? It's like, why would this give the dark side force? This is a rebel base, you know. Force was the resource that you used to pay for like everything. Y wings were kind of cool, but like you always preferred the X wings. My God, seeing these cards in black border, there's a certain nostalgia to it. You know what I mean? These premier starters, I was saying earlier, right? They were kind of hard to come by. I remember when we were young, I think I opened like one or two. My buddy Rich, who I played with this game with predominantly, he at one point, I think he went to like Long Island or Connecticut or something. He found a store out there that had a bunch, and he bought all of them. And he ended up getting like Luke and Han, so Luke Skywalker and Han Solo. And I remember being very jealous. And then because like they were Black Border and they were like money cards back then, you know, and like when you pulled money cards, it was just like, oh man, you know. Um, I remember very shortly thereafter, I got I was gifted two unlimited starter decks, and the unlimited starter decks are basically like the limited ones, except the borders were white, so the cards were worth less. And friggin' one had Luke Skywalker and the other had Han Solo, and like I'm like pulling them while I'm on the phone with him, and he's just like, oh man, like I think like he was just sort of upset that like the arms race had just the gap had just been closed, essentially in two starter decks instead of like his like I think he got like 10 or 11 starters, you know, which is wild. Y-Wing, Rebel Trooper. So a lot of these cards in these packs were like the same card for both light side and dark side, right? Rebel Trooper was the same card as Stormtrooper on the dark side. Which is funny because like Rebel Troopers are clearly just like a guy with like a helmet and a pistol. And like Stormtroopers are like trained. I mean, like, not to say that Rebel Troopers aren't trained, but like they're trained, you know, marksmen with like armor and shit. And they just didn't reflect it because they wanted to make the sides kind of even, but they failed to do so because like the dark side was like very, very heavily weighted to be the stronger side. The light side was scrappier, but like the dark side was just so much more powerful. Bith shuffle. Shuffle any player's reserve deck. Huh. Okay. Friendly fire. Oh, I think we use this every once in a while. What was this? Tatooine Docking Bay. This is where the Falcon took off right before Luke left his life behind. That's kind of cool. Timer Mine. Again, something that like did not even show up in the actual movie. They had to Photoshop that in there. It was cool, man. Let's see what the other side's got for us, huh? R4M9. Can you imagine? They actually put these things in charge of like escorting prisoners off that off Tantive 4. Death Star Trooper. Different from a Stormtrooper. These guys only like hung out on the Death Star. These are the guys with the stupid helmets. I guess slightly stronger, didn't matter. Didn't matter. Like you typically, I feel like you never really wanted to like jump onto like your opponent's base type place, right? Like if your opponent's playing Death Star, you don't really want to like venture too far into the Death Star unless you can generate like a huge amount of like advantage, right? Venice Kaig, it's that pilot guy, but in the dark side. Ah, this is the shuffle effect. Both players drew one battle destiny, use one force to switch numbers. Oh, that's messed up. Hey, a TIE fighter! So before I knew anything about Star Wars, right, I used to love, and I don't know what this says about me as a person, I used to love how, like, a lot of the Empire's stuff just looked, right? Like, before I knew what a Stormtrooper was, I just thought that they looked cool. Before I knew what a TIE fighter was, I just thought they looked cool, right? Um, this is where I found out that, like, TIE fighters are actually inferior. They're, like, the worst starfighters. Just because, like, when you have a card game, you have access to like these stats, and the stats on a TIE fighter are trash compared to an X-wing. We didn't pull any X-wings, but like an X-wing would have 3 power, 4 maneuver, 5 hyperspeed, and this thing's just like, well, I suck. It deploys, I guess, almost for free, right? To a capital starship, basically a star destroyer. But like, real talk, like, I don't even know if I want to waste slots in my deck for these. Macro scan. Again, we never really used like effects and shit. It took a while. It's the Imperial Pilot. It's just the dark side version of that pilot. Death Star docking bay. Look at this little bugger. You can tell that they had a much smaller budget in A New Hope than they did in the later movies because of how like scuffed some of these things looked. Look at that. They were trying to do the whole lived-in universe thing, but like you would think that a newly built space station, everything should look impeccable. New armor, new equipment, new droids, and everything. And then this thing looks like they just kind of took some sheet metal and it was just like fuck it, just that's fine. Just go with it. You know, like this is scuffed. This little boy is scuffed. This poor L.I. And oh my god. LIN V8M. Not I'm trying to like read it like this, and it's like, no, don't do that. What is this? LIN V8M. Oh my god. What is wrong with me? I got a problem here. Ah, poor Jack. Poor Jack Porkins. This just destroys your friggin' ship. Oh boy. Oh, lift tube for the dark side. Care about that. There's the Stormtrooper. It's like, I mean, not the opposite. It's the exact same card, but for the dark side. You know? Deploy free to same Imperial site as your Imperial ability greater than 2. Yeah. Again, you wouldn't want to waste slots in your deck. You only had 60 cards per deck. You weren't allowed to play more than 60 cards. You weren't allowed to play less than 60 cards because your deck also represented your life. I still love the design of Stormtroopers. I think that these are like, this is an amazing design for like, you know, a faceless thing, a faceless force of enemies. You know what I mean? Tusken Scavengers. Oh, yeah. I remember when we first started playing, if you got 4 Tusken Raiders at a site, it was just like, game over. Just don't even go to that site. They're just gonna beat your ass. Set for stun. Yeah, that's when they shot Leia. Imperial Blaster. This is the same thing as the Blaster Pistol from before. Yavin 4 Docking Bay, but dark side. Oh, there's, speaking of a Tusken Raider. These things, my god. What a bunch of buttheads. If you had 4 of them at a site, total power was 10, and then you had 4 ability, which means you were drawing Destiny, which means your opponent's gonna take a beating. You know, fusion generators, supply tanks. Yeah, that seems useless. Scanning crew. Jawa. These are a weird card because they forced your opponent to also pay if they had available force. Otherwise, you couldn't play them. Scanning crew is an interesting card. There's so many cards that just say like you can't play scanning crew if you have this out. It's wild. All right. Again, let's put these together. All right, let's see what we got here. Okay, so we know what one of the rares is because this was like improperly packaged in the starter. So put that there. So this is the other rare. We're gonna put this here. These are the uncommons. Supposedly. Why is that upside down? I didn't flip those. These are the uncommons. This is where the fun cards are. Figrin Don! Oh my god. He's the leader of the modal nodes. He plays jizz music. If you ever when they were in the Mos Eisley Cantina, you know, you'd hear them just playing. Okay, draw 3 destiny. I remember he was a good card. Opponent draws 2. Player with the highest total may randomly select 1 card to be retrieved from that player's lost pile. Yeah, he's okay. Cause you draw 3 destiny, your opponent draws 2 destiny. Destiny being cards from the top of your deck. You'd reveal them and you total this number. If your number was greater, because like this is a stacked bet. You get 3 destiny and your opponent gets 2. On average, you're gonna win unless your deck is full of like low destiny numbers, which it could be because like a lot of the named characters, Luke, Leia, Han, Chewie, Obi-Wan, Darth Vader, Grand Moff Tarkin, General Mahdi, no, General Tag, Admiral Mahdi, they all have like a destiny number of 1. So like the higher power level your individual cards were, the lower your average destiny draw was. Oh well. Figuring Dawn though, very good card. What's this? What? 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 How did we get into this mess? I don't know. Spaceport Speeders. Ah, there's Wyozlia right there. He's the guy that bought Luke's speeder. Sell one of your vehicles. I guess you could sell your vehicles? Nah. Who's this? Who's this? Oh, Maman Nadon! Wait, hold on. Let's put these here. Maman Nadon. I thought this was a good card, and then it's not. We thought it was a good card because of the ability of 3. Hey, Aunt Beru! Oh my god. The best part about Aunt Beru was if you had Luke Skywalker and she died, Luke is like super powerful the next turn. Power plus 3. And what's this? Oh, the Masasi War Room. Oh, wait, we have one more behind there. This is one of my favorite starting locations for like the longest time. Then they added more sets, and I was like, ooh, Hoth that's some good starting locations. Add 1 Battle Destiny. Ooh. An altar. These are not the droids you're looking for. These aren't the droids you're looking for. It's basically a standard Jedi power. Alright. Let's see what these uncommons are. What's this? Ooh, a mouse droid. This is the thing that Chewbacca yells at. And it just runs away. Because it's a baby scaredy cat. Okay, what is this? Death Star, Central Core. Sorry. This is where Obi-Wan goes to turn off the power so that they can't use the tracking beam anymore. Or the tractor beam. Door controls. Ah, cancels. Okay. Another card that we never use. Because, like, why would you play a card that specifically cancels certain cards if you don't know your opponent's playing those specific cards? Star Wars CCG, from what I understand, did not have a sideboard. You didn't get to replace cards in your deck with, like, counterplay cards, so... Use 2 Force, draw Destiny. All opponents' movements blocked. I don't think I'd spend a Lost Interrupt on that. Limited resources. Wow. What's this? Death Star, level 4 military core. During your move phase. Oh, that's not bad on the Death Star. To go anywhere? Force strain +1. What's this? Death Star Sentry. Not a bad card. Alright, we'll put these uncommons together. Here's one of the rares. It didn't belong there. Han Seeker. It's not a bad one, but... Because thankfully it doesn't only seek out Han. It looks for, like, any alien. Even though Han's not an alien. Whatever. I mean, he should have been an alien. But they gave him the Rebel insignia on the card. With the light side rare we got... Oh, Revolution. This is actually a really good card. It just flips an opposing... It flips any, like, location, right? So sometimes you want to have, like, the bonus of, like, your opponent's location for you. Like, whatever. Anyway, this is a very good one. I'm not gonna lie. Like, this is actually a really good one. Because, like, sometimes you just, like... You couldn't play it on, like, the Death Star. Which, sure, okay. But, like, because that card specifically says immune to revolution, because this is such, like, a very powerful card. They could swap an entire location to being useless for your opponent. If, like, your opponent's strategy relied on, like, a specific location, you could just go, like, eh. And this could go in any deck, because every deck plays locations. So, not bad. I like this one. This is a good one. Han Seeker, not so much. Alright, those are with the uncommons. Yes, okay. Oh my god. An ancient rule book. Oh my god. Hold on, one more. Oh, those cards. Oh, this old ink. I remember my first starter. I remember my first starter. These don't really they're back very well, do they? I used to keep my first bit of these cards in like the starter box actually. I remember that too.